myself.
Mm-hmm.
Where's
You can hear
it
yourself
coming
think?
from? Uh-oh, hold on one second.
I heard you.
Oh, wow. I hear it too.
Hey.
This
Hey
is
now.
we're off to a great start.
Are we listening to the future or the past?
Here we go. Nope. Hey, there I go again.
Hello. Today.
Now I can't tell if that's.
Is there an echo in here?
I think we're good now, right?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Sweet.
All right.
Hey, you guys know that I switched up my diet a little bit, eating a little bit less fat, just because I haven't done that in a really long time. And I eat like crazy amounts of fat, or at least I try to, or at least I was trying to for a long time, especially being on the carnivore diet. But, you know, the cool thing is with Piedmontese, I can still eat steak and not have to worry about it. I had to cut back on the burgers a little bit because, you know, they're 85 and that's my favorite stuff is their 85% ground beef is like one of my favorite things that they have. But I'm a fat guy at heart and I'm going to put cheese on it. So I had to switch over to eating a lot of leaner stuff. I'm eating a little bit of carbohydrates now, a little bit of rice, potato, some fruit, vegetables, things like that. But, you know, and mixing stuff in, I don't really have to, you know, normally if I was going to try to cut back on fat, I'd have to mainly eat like chicken and fish. And I am going to eat some chicken and fish, but, you know, with Piedmontese, I get to still enjoy it. Like the bavette steak, the New York strips, New York strip, like it has this kind of tiny little strip of fat on it. And if you chop that off, there's hardly any fat in there at all. Still juicy, still tender. You guys know what's up.
I love that. I love that strip of fat. But you know what? You know something cool? And I mean, I know you guys don't track, and I don't track either anymore, but for those individuals that do, the cool thing about the steaks, and I realized this a few weeks ago, is that they have really consistent marbling. Because I went into my freezer and I pulled out some New York strips from Costco, and the marbling, like one had a lot of fat, one had a bit. And it's just like, if you're someone who's trying to like track these things, because like you're doing bodybuilding or whatever, if you try to track that steak the same way, one will have probably double the fat and you will be off, like super off.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point because you're going to get just some numbers off the internet, you know, about what that ribeye has. Mm-hmm. And especially like, I know some people get a little laxed with that too. They're just, I mean, nowadays you're not in a restaurant, but a lot of times you're like, yeah, that's a 10-ounce ribeye and it's a 14-ounce ribeye. I mean, there's some big differences there and stuff like that. So yeah, the Piedmontese stuff is great. I keep switching back and forth between the different cuts that I like a lot, but that bavette steak I think is if I'm saying that correctly, and I don't even know how to pronounce it, but that's one of my favorites that they have on the menu.
So that's your new number one?
Well, it's my favorite one in terms of how lean it is. Like it's in my opinion, it's the leanest out of the stuff that they have that still tastes really, really, really good. You know, I like that one a lot.
Yeah. For my birthday, I'm going to celebrate with the tomahawk.
Yeah.
I already started defrosting that bad boy and I'm going to throw it in my smoker and yep, I'm going to put that in my smoker and smoke it. And just, yeah, I wanted to have like an awesome day. So I woke up early, I trained, got some recovery, did a 10-minute squat. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
And for sure, like I wanted to finish off with like an amazing, like, dinner. So in the middle of all that, of course, I definitely want a podcast. So today's going to be a freaking fantastic day because we have 2 lined up for everybody.
Is Stephanie going to like use all 35 Spanx on one cheek of yours, or is she going to mix it up, or is she going to use the same hand? Because like her hand might get
a little worn
stung.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, my butt's going to look like hamburger meat.
Yeah, you're gonna have a great night.
Yeah. If you guys want your own hamburger meat, you gotta head over to I said Perfect Keto, Piedmontese.com. That's Piedmontese.com. At checkout, enter promo code Power Project for 25% off your order. And if your order is $99 more, you get free 2-day shipping. I'm gonna have fun with that tomahawk for sure, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you will.
It's been a while since we've been live, guys.
Wow, it feels different. You feel that, Nsima?
Yeah. And I
I feel
think
like
this
a
is the first time.
5G waves running through our
Yeah.
brains.
Isn't this the first time we've been live on Zoom too? Like we've never done a Zoom cast live.
Correct. This is all brand new. It's a whole new world, Aladdin.
2020, baby.
Yeah.
Or
This is
maybe
kinda-
not. I don't know.
Okay, this is kind of cool though. I pulled up our YouTube channel, the Zoom page, and I'm watching us and I'm seeing us. This is really odd.
Yeah.
Kind of
Welcome
creepy.
to
When
my
will
world.
when will then be now?
Soon. Soon. All right.
Oh,
Well,
man.
So I figured out a little trick
Uh-oh.
that you guys are going to be pretty pumped about. Hopefully it works for you. You know, every person is a little different, but we were talking like a couple weeks back, and I think maybe Nsima mentioned something about like, you know, leaning over the sink and how like it tightens up your back a little bit. Like one of you guys mentioned, maybe it's Andrew, like you're brushing your teeth and you like lean forward
Yep.
and
That's
you
me.
kind of like, there you go. And you kind of feel it in your back a little bit. So I don't know, I was messing around in the bathroom and I was just trying to figure out like a different position that you don't feel any tension in your back if you lean over the sink. Because, you know, once you like lean over the sink, your hips are back and your upper body is forward. So it's like putting a little bit of stress on your lower back. Not a lot, obviously, but it's a position that you might pause and hold for a little bit if you're messing with your face, popping zits, washing your face, brushing your teeth, or whatever it is you might be doing in the bathroom. And so what I did is I pushed my knees against the cabinet with my and I pushed my like heels towards the floor, and it just ends up being like a calf stretch, and you feel it a lot less in your back, and it lowers you down closer to the mirror in a weird way. So you got to try it. I know everyone listening, like if they get a chance to try it, they're gonna be like thinking about me like in the bathroom mirror, which is a really weird thing to be thinking about, but give it a shot. It worked. It worked great for me.
Were your toes off the ground when you were doing this? No.
No, my toes were like pushed into the ground. It was like I was driving my knees forward into the cabinet. Let's see if I can show my feet down here. So like say the cabinet's like here. Can you see my feet?
Yes.
So I went like that. I jammed my knees forward.
That makes sense.
And they were up against there, and then I leaned forward from there.
Ah.
But I didn't have to lean forward as much. It's like I took a half step back. I think this is revolutionary, really. I really do. I can't patent it or anything, but I don't know. Give it a
Not with that attitude.
give it a try.
That makes sense. But the unfortunate thing about all that is if you can do that while washing dishes, then we run out of my excuse for not being able to do the dishes. Because I'm like,
Right.
"Babe, I promise you I was totally gonna wash all those dishes, but my back." And I even had a doctor say, like, yeah, no, that's actually a bad position for your back to be in. So you shouldn't. I'm like, see, I got
My
the
You
mom,
just stand straight.
my mom used to say, like, all this stuff is designed by men. She's like, men who never used this shit before. She's like, a vacuum, your washer and dryer and stuff like that. Let me get my crazy
Uh-oh.
dog over here. Daisy, what are you doing?
All right, Andrew, why don't you wash the dishes just standing
No,
straight up?
That well, because okay, well, if I
He's
go
splashing.
if I go straight up, I can't really reach like all of the dishes, so you got to lean over a little bit to grab. I mean, not trying to not trying to brag or anything, but I think we have a pretty big sink, so like I have to dig in there, and then of course I'm I'm like 5'10", 5'11", 6'1", somewhere in there. No, I'm about 5'11". Okay, on a good day, I think I can hit 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
But I have to reach down because the water hose, the nozzle is not that tall, so I got to get in there. But no, I'm joking. I've been doing the dishes, but it's just awesome to have that excuse from like a doctor who, and we always talk trash about doctors. Well, not always, but we've said some things about doctors that in the past have told. Well, I know for myself, you know, my first day of getting my back checked, oh, you need surgery. Like, no, I don't. But don't do the dishes. Like, all right, I'll take that one thing and then I'll run with that. So yeah, it's just for fun and games. Yeah,
Hey, I want to congratulate you guys because I think that we had a hell of a last, couple of weeks here with the podcast. I think
absolutely.
it's been awesome, man. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, we had, a swirl of negativity, and rightfully so. I mean, we did I posted on my Instagram something that is definitely could be considered clickbait, but it wasn't really clickbait because it wasn't, like, in my opinion, clickbait is just getting you to click on it to watch it, and then it's something else. That, to me, that's clickbait, but maybe people have a different interpretation of it. I just wanted people to watch it, people to hear a different perspective. And when we had Dr. Batar on, he definitely had
Hmm.
a different perspective. And when we had Daniel Orego on, Daniel, I think, did a good job of like tying everything together and maybe being more rational. I think that we can all agree. Like, I don't know if I'd want Dr. Batar to be my doctor. He doesn't seem, he seems emotionally charged, which is okay, but it's just not my cup of tea. I would want someone that is going to be a little bit more down the middle, someone who's going to just lay out the facts. They're going to say, hey, Mark, if you do this, it's going to have this repercussion. But if you do that, there's going to have this other repercussion, and, make your own choice. He was a little bit, well, maybe a lot of it, kind of one-sided. Definitely, would throw him in the category of a conspiracy theorist. But it's been great to have other people come on, and we're looking forward to having other people come on to, further elaborate on what's going on. I mean, if you're to listen to the media, it keeps going back and forth. Dr. Fauci is a genius. Dr. Fauci should be fired. Like, it's going back and forth, right? And obviously, you can't hang the responsibility on one person. But if you look at the numbers, and like, what a horrible thing to like rate something by, but that's what we are looking at, is the number of deaths. And the number of deaths, just, they're not nearly as high as we initially anticipated. And so while we've been more on the side of like, hey, like, let us out of our homes and let us get back to work.
Hmm.
Maybe the quarantine, like, I can recognize that, hey, maybe the quarantine's been super effective since it's been at least slowing everything down. But maybe it's just slowing down the inevitable, and that's what we'll find out in the next couple weeks and months. Like, maybe the same number of people will still end up with this virus. And I heard an estimate yesterday, and these numbers are, I'll just leave the numbers out of it, because who knows what's accurate. But I've heard that, like, most people, especially in the United States, have already contracted the virus, or I shouldn't say most people, I should say a large number. From what I've been hearing, a large number of people have already contracted the virus. And then again, that would be pushing the percentages down. But anyway, I just think it's great. I think it's cool that we have kind of opened up a new chapter in the Power Project. I think it's really cool. Like, we've been talking a little bit political. We've been talking about just everything, values, virtues. We've always talked about life on this podcast, so that hasn't changed. But this is a crisis. This is a huge thing that's hitting everybody hard. And so we decided to take a deep dive in. Cheers.
Sounds
Cool.
Bink.
Think. Yeah, I am curious to see exactly how, I don't want to say volatile, but it's going to, when like Dr. Drew was just saying, like, there's going to be two sides of the argument once we're through this, and that's going to be, see, I told you it was bullshit, and then the other side, which is the quarantine fixed everything. And like, I can kind of already see that happening with like the numbers coming out saying like, oh, we were way wrong. We're so happy to be wrong. We did good. It's like, well, shit,
Right.
man, did you, or was it bullshit? Like, it's really frustrating.
Hey, what podcast did you hear that on, Andrew?
It might have been Mark Bell's Power Project podcast where we had
Oh
Dr.
my
Drew. And if you guys are on the live stream right now, once we're off air, you guys can go check that out. That was just published on our YouTube channel, Facebook, iTunes, all over the place.
I thought Dr. Drew was doing a pretty good blue steel right there. That's why I called him Dr. Drew Lander. I don't know if you guys saw my text back. I was like, damn, like he looked like he was trying to attract some ladies or something.
Mhm.
Like, he was kind of maybe a little bedroom eyes type of thing going on.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, no.
the cover. Yeah.
I mean, he's a good looking guy. What is he going to do? Is he going to try to deny himself of that? I don't know how he could do it, but I
Yeah,
was like, wow, man.
he's in great shape too. Like he's pretty jacked.
He's in awesome shape. I think, like many people that get into professions that get super excited. I mean, that guy loves helping people out. That is an amazing human being right there. Somebody who's helped so many people with drug addictions and stuff like that over the years, and many other issues that people have had. But I think somewhere along the lines he maybe lost himself, especially when it came to nutrition. But when we were over his house, he had like he had some food out, and a lot of times when there's like kind of like quote unquote catering, it's like bagels, cream cheese. There's some sort of snacky pretzel type stuff, but there was none of that at Dr. Drew's. They had some like almonds out. He had some, I think, hard-boiled eggs chopped up and some meat sliced up. And we were like, where are we? This is amazing. This is so cool.
Yeah, and Nsima, I wish you could have been there, man. The house had no ending. Like, I don't know if
it was the size of a mall. It was the size of like a Galleria mall.
You're
like,
kidding? Are you
no,
serious?
like you could.
It was fucking huge. It was crazy.
You couldn't see the end of it. Like you would step out where his like a normal door, like front door would be, but you look to the left and it's like, yeah, there was like a garage or like a drive up thingy, whatever you want to call it, and then on the right side you just see like house, more house, and you look like as far as you can see, and there's just more house, and it's just like, okay, that's still definitely his property. Like what the, and then you walk inside and you can go like upstairs, downstairs, and then you go another way and you go down more stairs, or you can go up and like, it was nuts because
Jesus.
I mean he's making that like that great like love line money when there was a shit ton of money in showbiz. Not saying that there's not now, but like hardcore celebrity status in LA, and he probably bought that house a long time ago too. So
ooh, yeah,
it was sick, dude. It was nuts. And then he had like multiple studios in his house for podcasting.
That reminds me of Tom Bilyeu's studio.
Yes,
I guess more of those.
It was crazy, man. It was like that, but it was just like a bigger home. I think value wise, Tom Bilyeu's house probably has the same value or more just because of like where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Drew was a little bit out there. It wasn't like he was in the middle of nowhere either, but he was still in an absolutely beautiful neighborhood. But Tom Bilyeu's place was pretty wild. Gunnar Peterson had just a crazy. Gunnar Peterson had just like this like beautiful mansion, and then he took us like into his backyard, and he had like a pool and a bunch of other stuff back there. And he was like, "Oh yeah, and there's the guest house, and the guest house was beautiful." You're like,
jeez,
anyone would be like,
stoked to live there.
Oh my god, like it was like nicer than 90% of the homes that you'll ever see. And it was just like he's like, "Oh yeah, there's a guest house over there."
Yeah,
you guys had all these adventures without me. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves.
We'll have to try to figure out how to do this one time. Is Gunnar at his house? His house is so beautiful that, and he's friends with the owners of Rolls-Royce, of course, right?
Huh.
Rolls-Royce takes their cars and they get them lifted by a helicopter, and they get dropped in his backyard, and he has a Rolls-Royce like party where they roll out new vehicle stuff.
That's stupid.
Wow.
Could you imagine like
damn.
like picking up a car like that on a with a helicopter? Like I mean, the cars are just insanely expensive. But like, hey, don't scratch it or drop it or whatever,
Dude, we're at Gunnar's house. Mark Bell, Gunnar Peterson, Ben Bruno, and then a fucking Sultan walks in. It's like
a Sultan?
A Sultan
a Sultan?
A Sultan. He had brought over damn it, what's that crate? It's a really expensive
Nobu.
Nobu. He brought sliders from Nobu just because. It's like,
the fuck?
And then he happened to be like the prince or something. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's so and so." He's like, he's the prince, and we're like, "Well, why the fuck did he drop it off?" We were so confused. He's like, "Well, he probably frustrated with the rest of his team, so he wanted to just drop it off himself." We're like, "Are you what? Like, you're lying, right? You got to be lying. You have to be lying."
I think yes. I think that after we hung out with Ron Penna, and I was telling you, I'm like, "Hey, dude, like." that's just an LA thing. Like I know like what just happened was fucking nuts, but it's just an LA thing. And it's because like some stuff like that has happened where I'm like this doesn't make any sense. Like what the like this is dumb. And then I remember Charlie was with us, and he and his brother were they just happened to be in LA also, like on
Mhm.
vacation. So they linked up with us, and they were playing basketball in Gunner's backyard because of course he would have like, it was only half a court, but it was still a full size half court in his
Yeah.
backyard. Just like, this is ridiculous. So much fun.
It's
Yeah,
so
that
cool
thing
when
was
people
nuts.
like the things that people can do with just copious amounts of wealth. Like it's
Mhm.
just the world just ends up being a little bit of a playground. Like
Yeah.
anything's
Yeah.
it's really dope. I think that's cool.
We do have to, check out Gunner's gym as well. Like I've never seen a gym packed with more equipment. Like I'm sure that guy's doing totally fine during the quarantine because he probably has a ton of equipment at his house too. But yeah, his gym is just it's kind of like the gym out here. It's kind of like saying strength. It's like just
Mm.
there's just
Mhm.
equipment everywhere. But even more so, I mean, he has, because his place is a lot smaller. It's not huge, and he's got just tons of equipment everywhere. Pretty cool
Mhm.
spot. Stuff you
Real.
never seen before. And a
Yeah.
toilet bowl. He has a toilet bowl in the squat rack.
Yeah, that was fun because he was like, people always come to me and they're just like, I can't squat. And he's like, oh yeah, you squat every day. Check
Yeah,
this out. So
he's like, you know
That's
how to take a
dope.
shit? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Real quick, our boy Matthew says what's up on Facebook, and then we have a bunch of people on the YouTube live stream. John Murdoch, he says that we've been a huge help with the quarantine, because we're kind of the only ones that have been going nonstop, so that's been fun.
Oh,
Ryan
hello,
says, "What's
John.
up?" Our homegirl, Ellie, that one that we met in the airport, she checked in. So shout out to
Nice.
her. And then awesome screen name, Bo Knows. It's not the actual Bo Knows, but
Bo
it's
Might be.
Jackson.
I don't think.
Might be. Bo's watching.
All right, you know what?
What's up, Bo?
We'll take credit for it. Bo Jackson is watching on
Bo
YouTube.
Jackson's live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Hey,
thank you everyone for checking in. It's really cool to be live again. Hopefully we'll do this more often, but it just feels right. So thank you.
you know something that I realized during this whole like quarantine or in this whole pandemic thing that I don't know, I think a lot of people have noticed it too. Like a lot of people don't trust mainstream media as it is, like CNN, Fox, and this new OANN or whatever. But now, like, I mean, my mom in her place, she has this stuff playing nonstop. So does a lot of other people I know. Like that were, and whenever you see the news, it's like you were mentioning, Mark, the music. Oh, this many people have died, and
Yeah.
this is like these how hospital. Like it really just. Even when I see a little clip of it, I'm just like, this stresses me out. Holy shit! And it's just playing all day long,
Your
and it's
heart
just
flutters a little bit. You're like, whoa.
dude, it's just like I can't imagine watching that for hours on end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's brutal. And then like I don't know about you guys, but this happens a lot to me, like just from hearing so much of it. I mean, I've just have eventually just started to shut a lot of it down, but there's so much kind of incoming that, at one moment you're like, everything's chill, like it's really not impacting that many people. And then you're like, because they'll say, oh, it's impacting people that are old, it's impacting people that haven't made healthy choices, it's impacting people that are heavier and stuff like that. It's like, well, I don't fucking hate anybody. Like I don't wish anybody to die. Like, I'd rather everybody, that stays here. And just because of maybe some bad choices throughout your life, like it still sucks, it's still a shitty situation. And kind of go back and forth in your head trying to piece it together, and you're like, well, who do I know that's going to die from it? And I don't think that those questions make sense, but I think that that is probably still a very selfish way to think about it. And you're trying to think about, like, just how do we stay the safest at the moment in the most responsible way and still like live our lives. That's what I'm trying to figure out for myself is,
Mm.
can I still go outside? Can I still train? And I think the answer is yes. And I think that, it's hard to get through it all with all the different news that hits. I know, like, sometimes like I'm saying, I'm pretty like laxed about it, and every once in a while I'll hear something where it'll make me a little nervous, where I'm like, well, I didn't think about, like, they talk about it being seasonal and how it's going to come back and stuff like that. And it's like, man, once you start hearing shit like that, you're like, is this our new normal? Like, if this is our new normal, then that is kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm most concerned with is we'll now have the seasonal coronavirus, or whatever it might be. Next year is gonna again, whatever they want to call it. But that's the only thing that freaks me out, because then I know, like, the seasonal corona vaccinations will start happening, and like I've stated in the past, that's the only thing I'm really truly worried about is forced vaccinations. That'll scare the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
If it
Yeah, and then
if it mutated, then yeah, I would be afraid of getting sick, because then I don't want to do this shit again where I'm quarantined and I can't see my family or my parents. But like, the one thing that really is like, like, man, that's gonna be scary is forced vaccinations.
and then with having children, Jake is 16, Quinn is 12. You kind of like, you want your kids to have better opportunities than you had, but I had every opportunity to do pretty much anything I ever wanted. My parents were absolutely amazing. But you try to provide, the best life that you possibly can for your kids. You try to protect your kids. But this is, in my opinion, this is a tough situation to be in, because it's so different than the way that I lived, the way that I grew up, that it's foreign to me. So in a way, I'm like, wow, like, I wonder what their lives will be like, especially if things were to continue on this way. Like, I just remember being 16. I didn't necessarily love high school, but there was a lot of fun shit that happened at that age. You get your driver's license, trying to drive to parties. I don't know about, like, where you guys lived and grew up, but like the whole thing, and now there's social media, so that probably takes some of it away. But like, the whole thing when I was a kid was like Friday, Saturday night, you just drive around for hours on end looking for a party, and you never really found anything. And you every once in a while you'd find something, but it was still so fun and exciting. You were just looking for these like parties, and even if you never found it, it was still better than like sitting at home, just playing video games or whatever. And I think, again, like, today's environment is just different. And if that was to continue, then again, like, I'm not going to say that I think it's sad, because I don't know how my kids even would feel about it or how they feel about it. But it's hard for me to understand, just because it's so different than what I grew up with.
Yeah, when I was in high school, it's weird. Like, I don't even know what kids are doing nowadays, but like, when I was in high school, I went to school, went home, did my homework, went to soccer practice. That was life for 4 years.
Nerd
So
alert.
yeah, nah, like, that's real. I was kept occupied, bro. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, like, I think Andrew can speak on that more. But like, I feel like, especially right now, if there's anything that I've learned through this whole virus, it's okay. I'm gonna stay clean. I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm gonna make sure my nails are cut. I'm gonna watch. Like, I'm not gonna be shaking people. I'm really, after this, I really don't think I'm gonna shake hands anymore. I'm still gonna do jujitsu, which is like the dirtiest sport ever. But I'm just gonna make sure that I'm clean afterwards, and I'm gonna stay on top of. I think, if anything, I'm just gonna stay on top of everything more. I'm gonna make sure to always get sleep for my immune system, especially, and just I can't get caught slipping, or else potentially, if I'm a little bit weaker at some point, if I had 5 nights of bad sleep for 3 hours, I could get sick too.
Yeah.
And we've been big fans of the fist bump for a long time, but like, even a fist bump, I guess, is a little bit risky, but it's probably a lot better than a handshake.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I'll probably just default to a fist bump for everything. That makes sense. I know we've been doing the elbow thing too. Yeah, that works. For me in high school, it was a different time. Like, a handful of people had the internet, like, and they usually didn't have a fast enough connection, because it was shit back then. So
Bing, bing.
yeah, so even if we were gonna nerd out and play video games, we weren't doing it online. We still got together and still played, like, in one room, right? Sharing controllers, and who knows how many different germs were spread that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we got older, like, yeah, it was always like a house party. Like that was the ultimate goal, was like, dude, so and so's throwing a party, their parents are gone, like, oh, like let's go fuck their house up and go hang out. And of course always try to talk to chicks, and then the opportunity comes up and totally cowered away. It's like, oh dude, that's so close.
Yeah, so many things for me were centered around the gym too. Like that was always such a huge part of my day, because I've been lifting since I was so young that, I remember like as soon as school was over, like me and my buddies would go and we would lift, and that was a massive thing. But even the gym situation could be, I mean, if anything's going to be different, it's going to be stuff like that. The gym itself could be quite a bit different. I don't know, like if I don't know what they'll do, if they'll try to, have people go at like half capacity or really what they'll try to install. But it seems like those are kind of breeding grounds for passing around bacteria and stuff. So they might do something with that. That might look different.
You know what I was thinking, man, and this is something that kind of scared me a little bit. Well, I don't want to say scared me, but it's something that I thought about. When all of this kind of dies down, things kind of get back to normal. I would feel like this is something where the government might make it mandatory that if you're going to be like going to a gym, or if you're going to be going to something that has a lot of person to person contact, that you would have had to have a vaccine, or you would have had, like, I think it's either a vaccine or have like you have to have some type of showing that you have the antibodies,
like
right?
a bracelet or something.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I mean, I hope that doesn't happen. I really don't. I don't want to sound like, but I feel like it's a legitimate thing that could be done to stop, I don't know.
No, it's a crazy thing. I mean, if you had like a bracelet or something, then, people are going to fake it, just to, and then like, I don't know, like how much does it slow everything down? And it causes so many other problems. And then, how do you make these bracelets? How much do they cost? If they're going to be like real, like if it's going to be something that's real and it's a real verification of the fact that you're like healthy or whatever, and you can't get other people sick, well, then it would need to be electronic, and you'll need to scan it. And it's like, how much does that cost? I think those things, they end up costing so much money, and I think in like Korea and stuff like that, maybe South Korea, I think they have adopted some of those things from what I hear. I don't know what's true, but I think they have adopted some of those things. But a lot of these countries, they're a lot different than the United States. And the United States, if there's going to be vaccines that are mandatory, there will probably be a war. That's what I would think. I mean, there's a lot of people with weapons who are ready for this shit, who are ready. They're ready to fight for our freedom. And I think people would have to like choose a side. And that in itself is like, nobody wants to have such conflict that it ends in more deaths. It just gets to be, I don't know how you police any of this stuff, but I think truthfully, I think everything's just going to die down. And I think in a couple of months, I think everything will be normal-ish.
Yeah.
I think that this will be like a little bit of a distant memory. And I think it might even be, something that is joked about quite a bit. But I think that the people that lived through it, the people that have been in it, I don't think they'll choose to really joke around too much about it.
Yeah, I think it will give everyone permission to or put a lot of policies in place. So like, let me see who just said it. Dang it, I just saw it. Oh, 1 second. Blah, blah, blah.
Dun, dun, dun,
Oh my God, I'm not gonna. Somebody said like, yeah, to force everyone to wipe down all the equipment at the gym.
Yeah.
Like that will now be like you can't not do that. Like you don't do that, you're getting kicked out.
That's something you should do anyway.
Exactly, but people still don't, and that will now be a part of your contract when you sign up for a gym. Like it's
a tough situation anytime you have to make anybody do anything. Like we're dealing with our kids with their schoolwork and stuff. Like they're doing stuff online, and it was like day one the other day and they like, Quinn kind of woke up kind of late for it. She got online kind of late for it. And then we talked about it, and I said, look, I'm not policing this. I'm not, and we're not doing that. Like your school starts at 9 o'clock, and wake up at 8:30, get your shit together, like, conduct yourself in a way that I don't have to intervene. Like, I don't want to be part of it. I'd rather you just do it on your own, right? And so I think that whenever you have to like bring the hammer down on people or tell people that they're kicked out, that gets to be really tough. And there's going to be the guy who like who just like does it halfway, right? Like there's going to be, and then how do you determine like, well, he sort of did it, but he only sprayed the one part of the bench, and it's just like those kinds of things that get you in really ugly situations. You're seeing that now with people getting like kicked off of trains and stuff, or subways rather. And I saw one guy, actually I saw it multiple times now, where the cop himself didn't have a mask, and he's like yelling at everybody that they need to have a mask on. And they're like ripping people off of these subways and stuff like that. And
this in the US?
Yeah. You just don't like, you don't want to see stuff like that. You don't want to see stuff like that going down. It's just it's a bad road to go down, and so I don't know how you police it when you try to tell people, hey, this is the only way you can get around, and this is the only way to get on subways is with a mask, and then they don't have one on. What you're hoping happens is that people are educated enough to where they make the correct decision on their own. But how do you educate everyone? How do you get the message out and say, we believe, especially when they said masks aren't a thing, in the beginning, they said, like, don't worry about it. And there's still a lot of controversy over masks. People still don't know. I think that it's 50-50. People are 50-50 on the mask thing. I would imagine that it protects you more. But some people are even saying that they think it makes it worse. So I don't really know. But once you get into those situations where you need to coerce people into, you have to do this way, or you're fucking toast, or you're getting kicked out or whatever, right? That can get to be really ugly. And then if you're a gym owner, you're not going to want to kick people out of your gym because they pay your rent. They pay to be there. Like you work for them, it's not the other way around. So
yeah. On that mask deal though, I think Daniel Orrego, he sent us a lot of stuff about masks, but I like it really, like, especially when you go out, I think masks protect both you and somebody else. Because first off, if you have it and you're wearing a mask, you're not getting your droplets everywhere in the store, right? But then also, like, I noticed when I wear my mask, it stops me from touching my face. When my nose itches, I don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? And that's one of those big things. But I think I think it was also from Daniel. It comes to when people are taking their masks off, and if you're taking your mask off from the front, where potentially all the bad stuff is, and then you're taking it off and you're touching your face and doing whatever, then I think people just need to learn how to use them correctly.
Being clean is complicated. Like I was just like washing some dishes the other day, and just because this is more in my thought process now, I'm like scrubbing something out, and then I put it somewhere else to rest it. I have like kind of two sink thing going on, so I put it in the smaller sink, but I was like, I sometimes throw food down the smaller sink because it's got a garbage disposal, and I'm like, I don't know if that's clean. I mean, normally I wouldn't fucking care. I would just not think about it, and I still don't care really, but I was just thinking about it. I was like, that's interesting, because like, I'm thinking, I'm just going to set it over here because I was washing something else and I'm trying to like let it dry, but I'm like, I don't even know if that spot is really clean, and then you start to kind of think about it more. And every time you touch your face, and every time you come in contact with another person, an animal, food, to really be meticulous with it is really, really hard. And then to even know what the right thing to do is tough. I mean, you could just wash your hands often, and that helps. But you also want to make sure the other things that you touch are clean. Like, for example, the dumbest thing ever, I mean, this is just ridiculous that this is this way. And these are things that need to change. I mean, they need to get rid of handles. They need to get rid of handles, knobs, things like that. They need to just outlaw shit like that.
Yeah.
You want to put policies in place. That's the kind of shit that you do. And figure out ways of locking the fucking bathroom without putting your fingers all over it. I mean, you should be able to, it should just maybe, I don't know, lock automatically or something. Somebody smarter than me can think of something where it locks very easily without putting your fingers all over it. But those are the kind of things I think that need to change, because when you leave a bathroom, a lot of times you do your stuff and then you grab a handle and it's like, that handle's got to be fucking disgusting. People are shitting in here all day long. I mean, there's definitely a lot of fecal matter on it. If you were to run a test on it, there's fecal matter on dumbbells, and there's poop, like fecal matter is everywhere pretty much. But if you're to look at a gym, there's like urine, there's poop, I mean, I don't even know what you would find, but you would find everything all over everything. Even when you wipe it down, there's still going to be some of it there. But why have a handle in the bathroom? And also, why have the garbage inside the bathroom itself? The garbage should be outside. So if you did wash your hands, you could use what you dried your hands off with to open the door to grab the handle and then to throw the garbage out. I heard somebody one time, they were so meticulous about it and like militant about it that they would take whatever they dried their hands off with and just throw it on the ground, because they're like, hey, maybe they'll get the hint to put the fucking garbage outside.
Oh.
I was like, damn. I was like, that's a little harsh, but yeah, there's gonna have to be some changes. We were talking yesterday about the handrail, like going down the stairs. Like maybe you get rid of stuff like that, so that way maybe the safety of having someone take a tumble
Oh God,
is the risk to benefit. I don't know, but something probably needs to be done so we stop getting our grossness everywhere.
Yeah, maybe they just get rid of stairs altogether and either have touchless elevators or just use ramps everywhere. Just that way people don't fall.
Yeah.
Dude, real talk.
Yeah, ramp it up.
In bathrooms, like legit, I go as far as like, because first off, I wish they had toilet like covers in bathrooms, because when you flush the toilet and it's open, that forceful swirl sprays it everywhere, and it's like a nice mist of fecal matter going everywhere, right? So I legit, like, I'm usually by the door. I take my left foot and I'm ready to run. So I take my left foot, hit the handle, and I get out of there real quick, because it's just like, in those public restrooms, poop is literally everywhere. Poop is everywhere. They need toilet seat covers. They need a way to stop, like, so you can just like open the door easily. I always take a paper towel and take it to the door and open it, because my mom taught me that when I was a kid. Don't ever touch the doors, and don't ever put your butt on the seats.
On the toilet seat.
On the toilet seat.
Yeah. Just for the record, I have watched you poop before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Wait, where did you watch me poop?
Oh, come on. I think I was just washing my hands at the gym.
Oh yeah, and I opened the stall.
And I could sense you looking at me, and you're like, "What's up, Andrew?" And I'm like, "What's up?" You're like, "You're not gonna turn around?" I'm like, "Nope. Come on." And I look over, and sure enough, Nsima's pooping with the door open. So I questioned some of his sanitary methods.
Not touching the seat is kind of an interesting thing, like, because you're having like your hamstrings and like your butt cheeks on this thing. It's like it's hard to say like what gets you like dirty and gross. But yeah, I'd imagine the less contact that you have with stuff, the better, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude.
And they definitely need to outlaw like the hand drying, like the wind, whatever activated ones, like the air blower thingy things.
Yeah,
because
what's
those
the
things,
problem with those?
all they do is suck in all that fecal matter and blow it right into your hands that were supposedly clean.
Oh.
So now they're probably dirtier than when you walked
blowing
in.
all that poop air in there.
Oh.
Yeah, poo spores everywhere.
Dude, man.
Never use a park bathroom, by the way. I went and I did that kettlebell thing at a park with Ryan and Josh the other day.
Those are bad.
In the middle of it, I was like, oh, this isn't a fart. I got to poop. So I ran to the bathroom, and there was a guy in the men's restroom, which only had one stall, and I heard him tearing it up. So I was like, no, I'm gonna go to the women's. But even in the women's, you walk in and there's like poop everywhere, and they have those metal toilets. So legit, I didn't even touch anything. I just like went on my tiptoes, did a little bit of a squat down. And Andrew, you got to tell us about your 10-minute squat. Put my pants down, and I just sprayed super hard, took a piece of toilet paper, flushed and ran, and I just zoomed out of there. Park bathrooms are the worst. They're the
Yeah,
worst.
I'm confused by a park bathroom because I went in one recently too, and there was shit on the ground. And I'm like, there's a toilet. I'm like, there's a toilet here, and there's shit on the ground on the other side. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's more convenient to shit on the ground. I'm not sure.
It's so bad.
Do you guys remember the old school porta potties that was like basically like a wood bench, and then it just happened to have like a hole in the middle with the seat?
And your
Actually,
shit just
no.
drops down from like 10 feet and splatters.
Oh, actually,
Those
yeah, I remember.
Oh,
God.
those
Yeah,
are terrifying.
I've never been in a really new porta potty because I haven't had to use one, but I remember like when I was a teenager and we'd have those at parks where like there were soccer tournaments. They're the worst. Like, how do you just not get a disease in there?
Exactly.
Everybody's poop and there's flies. There's always flies. It's just like, God dang.
I'll never forget Alan Thrall taking too long in the porta potty and getting thrown out of there with his pants down around his ankles when he was in the military.
Shit.
Oh,
Whoa.
God.
A sergeant came in there and told him he's taking too long and grabbed him and chucked him on the ground. He's like, I had shit all over me. And he's like, I had shit all over me the whole day. He's like, it was
That's
fucking
sad.
just,
Yeah. Yeah.
How's your 10-minute squat, Andrew?
It was good. I mean, I had showed Mark, I'm like, yeah, I can get down to the bottom of a squat pretty easily. And he's like, oh shit. Like, it was just like, I didn't warm up for it or anything. I just got down there. So I was like, oh, maybe I can do this. And so I did it with the red light on my back. And what I noticed right away was my cankles got really tired of like stabilizing myself. Back was cool. Knees were totally fine. I could hold it just fine. But I didn't know what to do with my arms. So like I crossed them up, head down. I put them on my knees. They started falling asleep like that. But now
it's a little bit of a challenge, man. It's not easy.
Yeah. So the most uncomfortable part of it all was just had nothing to do with the parts that I thought were going to be bad. But no, I put 10 minutes on the light, was listening to a podcast, and before I knew it, the lights had turned off, and I'm like, oh, tight. Like, all right, let's keep moving. But it was cool. Yeah, my back feels really good. Feels like a pretty good stretch because like I would get down there and I'd get even further. I'm like, can I get my butt cheeks on the ground? And yeah, I don't have that much back there, so I couldn't touch. But it wasn't too bad at all. I think I can go for quite a while as long as I have something to do.
Don't cholos already have the ability to do that?
I think so.
An innate squat ability.
Yeah, if your car has Dayton's, you can do that pose pretty easily.
Album covers or what's?
Yeah. The game stole that idea from us, but album covers, prom pictures, and wedding photos. Oh, and quinceañera pictures too. Maybe I'll do one for my birthday today.
Oh yeah.
That'd be pretty good.
You should get into a 20-minute squat for your birthday or a 35-minute squat. What are you gonna do? Like, what's your birthday challenge? Because you know how Mike O'Hearn has what does he do? 50 squats?
Something like that, yeah.
225 or
225, yeah. I don't have nothing planned like that. I didn't even think about it. I just I just wanted to set because everyone's like, oh, have a great day, have the best day. And I appreciate all that. But I'm like, it's kind of bullshit if I just like wait for the day to be awesome. Yeah. So yesterday, I'm like, hey, I'm going to wake up early. Alarm clock went off at 4:30. So I started training because I'm like, I want to have a great day. So great day all around is training, a little bit of recovery with the red light, podcasting, awesome dinner. So that's definitely going to happen with my Piedmontese tomahawk. And then I don't know, probably just chill with the family, maybe play some Switch just to have an awesome day. Because I've been balls deep in that game Warface. If anybody's down to play,
yeah, you told me about it.
Yeah, dude, it's gotten so much funner, more funnerist. But I don't know, maybe I'll try a 35-minute squat.
I think you can do it.
I'd probably jump on the live stream and do that.
Yeah.
All right.
I got a little bit of a workout in this morning. I threw on the old weight vest. I'm loving that thing. And I hit up the stairs over here. Workout only took about 12 minutes or so, I guess. Maybe about 20 minutes total just to walk down there and everything. But just running those stairs. And it's been like that. It feels really good. I'm probably going to add something into it because it's bad, but it's not horrible enough. So I think if I was just to add push-ups into it, I think it would just completely kill me, because your lower body's getting a lot of work from hitting the stairs, and then you're going down the stairs, so you get a nice little break from that, but it's still kind of an active recovery. But if I was just to hit like even like 10 push-ups at the bottom of the stairs, I'm gonna try it tomorrow. I think it's gonna like just totally blow my face off.
Yeah. You know what you know what I think you guys would love? Like I did an EMOM yesterday with my buddy. And I think I'm just gonna like today, because I'm gonna do a run later today with my lady since the last one. But I'm gonna do I think I want to do some multiple EMOMs during the day. So like maybe a 7-minute EMOM and then another 7-minute EMOM a few hours later. Because like if you do like, we did like 10 kettlebell swings and then 5 cleans on each hand every minute on the minute, right? So it took us about 35 seconds. We did it for 10 minutes. Great workout, but I was like, shoot, if I wait 2 hours, I could just do this again real quick and come get back to work. And it's so fun,
Yeah, it feels really good, and I think we're in a time where the weather's super nice too, so that makes a huge difference. It's like it's fairly cool out, so you don't have to really worry about like getting real disgustingly sweaty or anything like that. But plus, we don't really have we don't have as many people that we need to like look presentable to or smell presentable to. So if you get a little sweat built up, you're not as concerned about it. I've noticed kind of the same thing. Like I was doing the 100 squats and the 100 push-ups, and I would just knock them all out at one time. But now I'm like, well, I'll just kind of do them throughout the day, and I do like 50 here, 50 there, and then by the time the day's ended, I've done 200, 300. But I've noticed like it feels really, really good. And it doesn't matter if it's like before or after you eat or whatever, but like I think doing some stuff before you eat, I think is just a little easier. You don't have a stomach, full of food. And so I've been doing it typically, before I get to before I eat, and I've been feeling awesome doing that.
Yeah, I'm definitely showering much less.
I haven't showered or brushed my teeth, by the way.
Sick. See, there you go.
In months.
You're gonna come out of quarantine looking like somebody off of Tiger King.
Good.
But yeah, so now like, I don't have to. Well, not have to. I wake up and I'm like, now I'll shower after this workout. Whereas before it'd be like I can't show up at the gym like all funky, so like lifting off for somebody, like holy shit, like let me get somebody else. So yeah, that's been pretty cool, because you're right, I'm not gonna really run into anybody unannounced and have to worry about how I present myself. So I've just been hitting the gym room and shower.
Let's just make a pact as a team here, and hopefully everybody else can join in on us and join in with us. Let's just work out twice a day till the end of the month.
Yeah, actually, I like that. Let's do it.
I'm in.
Well, bam.
I'll make sure to post it. That'll force me to record it. So yeah, I'll post it up. 2-a-day workouts.
2-day workouts.
We got to call it something though, guys. Like we got to give it a name. Not just a 2-a-day, because we got to hashtag it, right? So other people can hashtag it too and join us. So
if you guys are on the live stream, hit us up with ideas.
I'm
not.
We're too dumb.
We are pretty dumb.
Power Project 2 days is too long. We'll figure it out.
2-day.
That's what we came up with. 2-day.
2-day. 2-day. 2-day. 2-a-days twice a day.
So what? I mean, okay. So I did shouldies this morning. Would a 35-minute, 10-minute squat later suffice as my second workout?
I don't think so. We got to get the heart rate up.
Got it. Okay, heart rate. That's a good barometer.
Yeah, heart rate's got to go like above 120. Otherwise, we ain't working out. Like a walk is good, but a walk, just walking doesn't count either, because it doesn't get the heart rate up enough. But if you lift, your heart rate will go up quite a bit, and if you run, your heart rate will go up a lot.
Yeah.
So anything above like 120, I think, is reasonable. You could count jumping rope. You could skip rope on and off for 10 minutes. I would count that. Something like that. But some sort of resistance. I'm really enjoying a lot of this stuff. I'm really like wondering. I mean, I did a little bit of weights yesterday, but I'm kind of just curious, like how long I could do this for without noticing any sort of difference in muscle mass and stuff. I would imagine that the weight vest, like walking with the weight vest and running with the weight vest, I think, that's that's just a lot of resistance. I'm feeling a lot of it in my traps.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I get breathing hard, if I get breathing kind of heavy with that thing on, holy shit, man, that's like a upper body workout in and of itself, because your respiratory system's trying to move and it can't because you got this freaking this vest on you. So that's been really good. I was actually thinking about, there's like this little loop right here. And I was thinking about just walking with a med ball. It doesn't sound that torturous, but I was going to just walk. It's probably about half a mile, maybe a little bit, it's probably like 3/4 of a mile. I was just going to walk with a med ball. But I haven't done it yet because I've been kind of scared of it. I'm like, that's going to fuck me up. I'm like, that's going to kill. I'm like halfway through, I'm going to be like in tears, but I got to give it a try, especially after all that stuff that Ross shared with us yesterday. What an intense bastard.
Dude, no, I think I think you're on the money there, because I've heard Ross talk about it on a few interviews too, where he's like, when he uses resistance for like swimming, or he's used resistance for running, his form changes a bit to be able to handle the resistance, right? So you kind of have to run in a slightly different way. You have to swim in a slightly different way. But I think he said that he thinks that's one of the keys that's one of his keys to being able to maintain so much muscle, because he's not just doing this massive cardio output, he's having to do it with resistance, which has him use all of that muscle that typically you wouldn't have to use if you're just going on a typical freestyle swim. So I think you're on the money with that, and that's a super smart idea to add to your cardio.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of sprinters. I know sprinters, they typically do lift and stuff, but I'm sure there's many of them that don't really care about lifting.
Mm-hmm.
And they look great. They got tons of muscle mass, right? It's because the amount of resistance, as Ross was pointing out, if you jog, you're putting on like 4 or 5 times the amount of stress, on each foot, running through each foot on your body. That's an incredible amount of weight. That's an incredible amount of tension. And then I think if you sprint, I think it multiplies. I think it like doubles and maybe even triples. So you start getting into 10 to 15 times your body weight. If you weigh 200 pounds, you're talking about really moving a big ass weight, especially if you're sprinting or sprinting uphill or something like that. I mean, that's got to do a lot for. I mean, I'm noticing my legs. They look like they're in better shape. They look like they're actually getting a little bit bigger, which I'm not even really trying to do, but I think it's just the running. My calves look like they're swollen all the time because they have been, we were talking about the calves getting kind of sore.
Yeah.
Mine are, they look like they have rhabdo.
You already have, just like you and your brother already have like the biggest calves ever. So
big old chunky calves.
Yeah, the step mill grew my calves. Like I didn't even expect that, but it absolutely happened. And it was funny because Rosemary from ST, she was like, yeah, like I've noticed your calves got huge all of a sudden. Or she didn't say huge, but she just said like your body's changing and you can totally tell in your calves. And I'm like, oh, thanks. Like that's amazing.
She
I'm
said,
engaged,
yeah, that's
by
what's
the way.
up.
Yeah. She's awesome. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting too, because I wasn't focused on it at all and it just happened.
First off, that might be a little bit of a trick for people to grow their calves, because how so many guys are like, my calves won't grow and I do all the lifting in the world. Maybe just get on the step mill, who knows? But my friend told me something yesterday. I was like, dude, that's a really good goal, and I think that I want to try and do the same thing. He does like a bit of boxing training right now. But after our kettlebell workout, he was like, I want to be able to just do these minimum things. Like I want to be able to just be able to run a mile, because I should be able to run a mile without stopping. I want to be able to do 50 push-ups because I should be able to do that without stopping. I want to be able to do this type of kettlebell, like just like these minimums on all of these different things. Because like it almost like Ross, well, not like Ross, but it's the idea of, not being too one-dimensional. I feel like if a powerlifter was able to run a mile without stopping, do X amount of pull-ups, like I feel like you don't have to lose a lot of muscle to only be able to run a mile without stopping, right? It won't affect you that much. If anything, it'll help. I think you mentioned this the other day, Mark. It'll help you in terms of your output and your recovery, right? But you won't be losing that much muscle if you're able to run a mile. But think about just how useful it is to be able to just run a mile. If you can't run without getting winded after a few paces, that might be an issue. So
Training density is huge. Training density is massive. Anyone that I've ever lifted with that has acquired a good amount of muscle mass, they just have a tremendous amount of work capacity. And each guy does it a little differently, but most of them do it in an efficient, fairly quick fashion. Then there's the Mike O'Hearn, like I'm bringing my lunchbox here, and that's what Ross was talking about, right? Bringing all that food with him. That's O'Hearn style. O'Hearn's like, this is regardless of time. I'm not paying attention to the clock. I got here at 4, and it doesn't matter if we leave at 7, because this is what I do and this is what I love. And so there's kind of that approach. But then there's also guys like Stan Efferding, Flex Wheeler, Charles Glass, Jay Cutler. You work out with those guys, Branch Warren. You work out with those guys, and they just are. They're burying you. You're like, oh shit, like, wow, we're fucking working out. Like, this is this is some serious shit. And you get into the second. I think you maybe experienced this with Jay, Big J Extreme Fitness, when you're training with him. You get into like the third set of something and you're like, whoa, like we're in it. Like we're like normally that's like 8 sets in, 9 sets in, because you kind of take your time, you do like a bullshit warm-up set. But these guys, man, they go at it hard right out of the gate. And then once they get that feeling, then they stay on top of that, and they're really aggressive with it. And I think that when you possess that ability, you're going to have a great capacity to be stronger, or to be better in whatever way that you want to be in. But being in shape is massive.
Yeah, I think I need to also want to be able to jump in a pool. So it's gonna be interesting, because there are no pools open. But
you want to hit up some swimming?
Yeah, when they open up. But like there's no pools that are open right now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to wait and see that. But I wonder how a lot of those bodybuilder dudes are doing right now. It's the ones that don't have like a gym, like bodybuilders, like you were talking about. Like what are they doing? Because like there was the Olympia coming up, there were all these things coming up. And if you can't train, or if you don't have access to that much equipment, what are you going to try and do right now?
I think maybe what they could do, it's a great question, and maybe we should have a bodybuilder on the show. But I think what they could do is they can, like, bodybuilding is great because you can incorporate some eccentrics, you can incorporate some isometrics, you could do drop sets, you could do, so like if they just have access to something, if they have access to some sort of resistance, then they could utilize a lot of these techniques. I mean, I just have 30, 20, and 10 in the garage. And I'm just like, I'm just going to do 100 curls. So I grab the 30s and I just start moving them around. It starts to burn. I do a couple extra. It starts to burn really bad. I cheat. And then I put them down, maybe rest for just like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, grab the 20s, kind of same thing, and just burn them out and just keep going. And I grab the 10s. So like, they're probably just trying to utilize whatever methods they can to kind of get that pump. And I mean, there's a lot you could, if you have a 30-pound dumbbell, there's a ton. It's not heavy, but there's a ton that you can do. I mean, think about, you can do like a concentration curl just on your own leg, and you just hold it, you isolate it for a little bit, you do isometric contraction, you go down slow, you do sets of 8 that way, go back and forth on each arm and do like 10 sets or something. I mean, you're going to get a hell of a workout in doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I killed my shoulders this morning. Towards the end of my workout, I just grabbed 10-pound dumbbells and, seated front raises. So front, like one, both. And I mean, you do that like 15 times and you're cooking. It painfully burns. Yeah, it was bad.
Also, you got one workout in today already.
Yeah. No, I got a really good workout. Did some seated presses, almost like an Arnold press, but just keeping my knuckles forward the whole time. Dude, it got me pretty good. And then also like the heaviest dumbbells I have are 25s, and so I was doing some shrugs, and I'm like, man, this is gonna take me forever. Nah, it didn't take me forever. It took me like about 10 reps to like really start to feel it. I'm like, okay, here we go. And then it started feeling really good. So yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Like I looked at the weights that I have here. Like we have like starting from 5 pounds, like it's like 5, 8, 10, and then 15, 25. And I'm like, damn it, man. I wish I didn't pass up on that Costco deal for like, it was like I think 10 all the way up to 30 or 35 even.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, I should get that, and then being like, nah, we don't need it. Like I train at the gym, like there's no need. And then now being like, oh fuck, I wish I got it. And then thinking that now is like, oh, I totally missed out. But no, like like I'm getting crushed at home right now. It's really amazing how like how little we actually need. And then
Right.
if I get some bands, like I might come out of this thing pretty jacked.
Hey, did you see what Settlage did in terms of with a banded hamstring curl? I
No,
don't
I
know.
didn't, but
It's a
settle.
Oh, okay. Anyway, it's really cool. If you go to his Instagram, he had this band going off of a bottom pole of of something, maybe a squat rack. Then he was sitting back on a bench, and I think he had this guy do like 100 reps, right? So you both your feet are in the band, and you're doing like hamstring curls, and you're pulling the band towards you with your feet. I was
Like
just
a
like,
seated leg curl.
like a seated leg curl. I was like, dude, that is such a dope idea. I didn't think about
Yeah, that is a really good exercise, and it's hard.
that.
Like it's hard. It's hamstrings are weird. Like they want to flex like on their own. They want to flex and work. Like if you run or if you do like a deadlift or something like that, they'll activate. But to actually curl them and to curl them with resistance is it's a difficult thing. And if you have never done it before, it's pretty awesome. But that exercise, I forgot about that one. That one feels really, really good. I have a spot. I think a lot of people that have a garage, and a lot of parking structures have stuff like this too. They just have a pole. They have just a concrete or metal pole that's just like stuck in the ground, and that thing's not moving anywhere.
Mhm.
And you could put a band around that and do almost anything. So that's what I have in my garage as well. And I'll probably hit up some of those hammy curls later today. That's a good idea.
Some
Yeah.
hammy curls. Real quick, Mark. Our homie Ray Rod asks how your body felt after that cheat day or cheat meal, I should say. Or was it a
Yeah.
whole day or is it just a meal?
Yeah, it was kind of a day. I guess it was the second half of a day. Um, I my body is pretty like my just digestive system and stuff is pretty resilient. So I was good. I mean I did poop a lot the next day. But I just I remember having like friends that would say, man, I had sugar, and I'm like, I'm tweaked out and stuff. Like my body has never been sensitive to stuff like that. Like I mean, I can feel coffee a little bit here and there. But yeah, if I eat like pizza or if I eat like gluten or something, the only thing I'll just feel bigger. I woke up the next morning and I just felt jacked. I'm like, holy fuck. I'm like, veins are popping out everywhere. And it's like, I do feel a little swollen, like but yeah, other than that, I feel really good. There's a lot of people that asked about that. They're like, well, what about, what about when you ate some carbs? I think they think, your body's going to like explode or something. And, keep in mind too, I talk about having a war on carbs and stuff like that, but keep in mind during this diet, I had a good amount of yogurt. I had milk here and there. So like I had things that had some carbohydrates, and it wasn't like I was completely without them the entire time. But yeah, I felt good. I felt strong, but I did gain a lot of weight. Like I think I weighed myself that night and I was like 251, so
Ooh,
my body weight will go
Damn.
fucking crazy. My body would go, and I
that's
was 238 this morning.
bruh. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. That's crazy though.
Yeah.
Did you feel a lot of cravings for carbs the next day? And did you have to fight them, or were you just like back on the money?
Yeah. So I kind of I haven't talked about this before, but I need to. I have like a day that I call like a gray day because it's like a gray area. So I have a day where I have the cheat meal or cheat meals, and then the next day is like a bridge. I use it as a bridge. So the next day, if I feel like having perfect keto bars or you know, perfect keto cookies, like things that I would normally eat here and there, but I can eat as much of it as I want. And I don't have an eating schedule. I'm not trying to fast. I'm not trying to do anything that's tough or stressful in any way.
Yeah.
I want the diet to be super simple, so that on a day like that, that's a day where I might cook up like an icon meal or something. It's still all stuff that's very healthy. It's still all protein based, bodybuilding based diet, but it's just, I'm not like diving back in 100%. And that's always helped a lot, because that next day, it seems like the whole day I just can't stop dreaming about eating like cookies and ice cream and shit like that. And so that's been really useful for me, is I have like a cheat day, and then the next day after I have like a gloomy gray day where it's all this stuff that would be like kind of, I wouldn't really consider it moving you forward in a diet, but I also wouldn't say that it would ever move you backwards.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's the main thing.
No, that helps a lot. I'm gonna say, like, there was one night where like we were chilling and we were like, oh, let's get some Oreos. Dude, first off, never again. Maybe sometime again, but not again soon, because that, like, oh God, I'm like I've told you, I'm the type of person who it's not going to be there the next day. And this was like the big old pack. This was like a little, you know, conservative pack. This was a large pack of Oreos.
Can't
Well,
go
we had
conservative.
we had the whole thing. I had most of it. And the next day I was just like, I want ice cream. Like it just hit so hard. Then I just fasted through the day. And it's like, whew, that's tough.
It makes you irrational, you know. I
It
think
does.
when you're having like fruit and eating meat and stuff, especially when you eat a piece of fruit, you're like, wow, like fruit tastes so good. Fruit's plenty for me. You ever think that, like when you're eating it, you're like, I don't need a fucking Snickers bar. You know, you kind of, I've thought stuff like that before to myself, and it makes you a little bit more rational. But as soon as you have a Snickers bar, you're like, fuck eating fruit. You're like, I ain't touching that shit ever again. I'm gonna keep eating this. This is way better than a piece of fruit, or this is way better than my steak, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, it doesn't match up.
No, yeah, and I hate like if I'm cooking up like a steak or something, and I'm like, oh Jazz, you got to try this, because like whatever it is, it's like delicious. But then I'll see she just had, whether even it could even be fruit, but I'll be like, oh, this is gonna taste like garbage compared to what you just ate, so never mind. It's like so frustrating, because you know, especially if it is something kind of bad, like whether it's candy or something, then it's just frustrating, because I'm like, oh, like my argument for trying to get you to eat a little bit healthier goes way out the window, because this is going to taste like crap compared to what you just had.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I will say this. Oh, nice bicep, Mark. Were you just trying to flex there, or were you like fixing your headphone?
I think I was just scratching my ear, but
Yeah.
maybe I was flexing.
I think
You
you
never
made
know.
there was a hard flex in there. I don't even know if it just happened, even you weren't thinking about it, but you're like this. And it looked like it was peaking. But I think this is actually a great time. Like if you did clear your pantries out, because when you go to the store, you got to wait in a line now. Like the Rayleigh's right here, you can't, not everyone can get in the store. So if you want to get trash, it takes a while to get it too. There's a natural deterrent right there also. So
You gotta really want it. You gotta really think about it, right?
you got to really want it, man. Oh God.
Anyway, I'm gonna get up hit up that second workout. Did you hit a workout yet today, Nsima?
No, that's what I'm going to do after we get off, before we get with Mike. I'm going to go hit up a kettlebell EMOM, maybe for 10 to 12 minutes, shower, and then head back on for our next podcast.
So it's every minute on the minute you're
Every
doing.
minute on the minute. I think I'm going to just do snatches on this one. Yesterday, it was 10 kettlebell swings and 5 snatches on each arm. Typically took about 30 to 35 seconds. And then 25 seconds later, boom, hit it up again. I did that for 11 or 12 minutes. So this one I might do a 10 to 12 minutes, but just pure snatches. I'm thinking maybe 7 or 10 snatches on each arm, see how long it takes, and just do that every minute on the minute.
There's a lot of people that will complain, like I've lifted with people before in like at like hotels and stuff like that, where they have, you know, dumbbells that go up to like 60 pounds or something like that, and people are like, they don't have enough weight. But if you feel like you don't have enough weight, you could always just do other exercises before you do that movement. So For example, let's just say the only thing you have is like a 35-pound kettlebell and you want to get, or 30-pound dumbbell, or even 25-pound dumbbell, and you want to get more out of your shoulder work, we'll just do some lateral raises and front raises beforehand. If all you have is 30-pound dumbbells, and you feel like you can't get a good chest workout in, do push-ups and flies before you do a press. So you just have to be a little more creative. You have to be a little bit more innovative than normal, and you have to just again, if you're trying to figure out how to train your legs, do some jump squats, and then do a bunch of goblet squats with a kettlebell. Like that's gonna thrash your body, and it's also going to give your body enough stimulus. I also would something I've seen, and it my reaction to it is kind of weird, just because I've been lifting for so long that I'm just like, man, can't these fucking people take a break? But when I see people with barbells and I see people squatting, benching, and deadlifting, and they're doing heavy weights and stuff, it's great I understand that's what they love to do. But at the same time, I'm like, man, this is a really nice time to just not do that. Like, you do that all the time. Like, why not explore? I'm not going to say you shouldn't do it, but what I would advise you to do is try to find some stuff that's just a little different than what you're used to. Like, this is the ultimate opportunity to try some things that maybe you haven't done before. A couple weird exercises that you haven't done, or different forms of exercise. Go hop on a bike or something. I realize that people are doing it because it's interests them and because it's fun, but people are going like way out of their way to do like wacky stuff with barbells, and like they're putting like buckets on the side of it and everything like that. And it's like, you don't really need to do that. You can just, you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. Find something a little new, a little bit different to explore, maybe on top of, because since you like using the barbell so much, maybe on top of that,
Yeah, just with a simple bench, like just a regular bench, as far as like, a gym bench, not like a, with park bench, but even a park bench would work. But like I was doing the like stepping up and then stepping down and then doing a backwards lunge. I'm like, oh, this feels pretty good. And then sure enough, like after a couple reps, I'm like, oh fuck, like this is gonna kill me. And dude, I got such a good pump in my legs from doing that. Yeah, and then I did add weight, but again, like I don't have that much weight, but for like it worked out because I I could barely hold the damn weight. Like I was falling over, like it was bad. So yeah, and it's funny because I will see, like, because I'm usually online looking for some kind of weight set, just because like I'm just kind of been in the mode of doing that. But I'll see a weight set that goes up to like 30 pounds. And there's always some bro in there saying like, what is this, a weight set for ants? Like, like, dude, man, if you can't get in a good workout at home right now, it's probably because you weren't getting a good workout inside the gym anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should be able to figure out how to get a good workout at home with very minimal to no equipment.
Look at our boy Corey G, just out there doing his lunges.
Yeah.
Oh, is he just out there doing just straight walking lunges with
No,
no
I
weight?
think he does a lot of other stuff, at the moment. But I mean, that's such an easy exercise to do. Go lunge for the length of a football field or something like that. Go lunge 100 yards or 50 yards. Brutal.
Yeah,
really
geez.
challenging.
Yeah, and where can you not do that? Like, you can do that anywhere.
Yeah, you
got
can.
room for it.
There's so many examples. People are posting up so many videos of different things you can do. So again, like I think this is a time where you can get good at, like even Mark, get good at running, get good at like maybe just running a mile. It's different, and it's not going to take away from your strength. It'll probably help you out, like we just talked about. So get at something different.
Mm-hmm.
You guys think they're going to open some shit up coming up?
I'm thinking shit will get a little bit better by June 1st. That's my hope / prediction. I don't know, man. Especially here in California, I think because of how chill it has been. Well, at least that's what it seems like to me. However, I was texting my mom yesterday, and she was saying like in her small town of Woodland, which is like just outside of Sacramento, they have 35 cases, which I again don't know if it's like the visual test or if it was lab test. It says confirmed, but we don't know what that even means at this moment. And for a small town to get that many, cases of it's pretty crazy. And then I don't think I said this on air, but it was so frustrating that they still did they took the voting, so people can go vote right now, whatever. And they always host it at this old home, like old people's home. And it makes no freaking sense to invite all these people to come vote where the most at-risk people are at. So of course, a bunch of those cases turned out to be right in this convalescent home. That's what the hell it's called. And it's so frustrating because I'm like, are you guys trying to push this on these elderly people right now? Because that makes no freaking sense. Like I know this is like a old small country town that kind of sucks, but like this is a really dumb move. It was really frustrating. So
When
what's
you
up?
talked about it, it just seemed like just like someone should have seen that's a really bad idea.
I don't know anything about anything. And I could be like, wait, what? You guys still hosted the I don't even know what it's called when you go and vote for a president, whatever that's called. They still held it at this location.
Hmm.
Like I could see that a mile away that is a terrible idea. And sure enough, I think like 12 of the staff contracted it, and then I think
Jeez,
another, like,
bro.
yeah, I know. I'm like, what? How dumb are you? And apparently they're that dumb.
Yeah.
This is from the Bloomberg Twitter account. Just like, Twitter just kind of has a feed of like news and stuff, but it basically is saying that Harvard researchers are saying that social distancing may need to be practiced through 2022.
Wow.
So that doesn't really necessarily mean that we're in the same situation that we're in now, but I mean, like, I think it makes sense to moving forward to utilize a lot of these practices. I really do. Like, people being more conscious of keeping themselves clean. I think that makes a lot of sense. And people shaking hands and stuff, it's just a dumb tradition. It's always been dumb. I mean, I know that that's something that we just do, but like, you have other cultures where they just bow and stuff like that. It's like, it seems like that's a superior form of greeting somebody, and that should be plenty, rather than like wiping yourself all over somebody else. I mean, if you kind of think about it, that's kind of sort of what you're doing. You're like, hey, here's my germs. Why don't you take on? Now, the one thing that's important about that, though, and interesting, is that by exposing each other to each other less, you might end up weakening your immune system. So, for as much research that will come out about like, hey, we need to do this, there's going to be other research that shows, hey, we can't do that. It's my belief, and I don't know how much of this is true, but I'm a believer in this. They say that a lot of kids get asthma, and people have asthma a little bit more nowadays because they don't have an opportunity to get outside in grass and in dirt and things like that. And so sometimes they develop allergies to stuff that they just weren't exposed to when they were young. Maybe the same thing is true with like peanut butter and stuff like that. Kids get sometimes they're able to give them small exposures to that when they're young, and then the children, like, there's people that say, hey, feed your kids peanuts, feed your kids peanut butter when they're young, so that way they don't have that resistance. Allow your kids to play in the dirt. But as we were talking about the other day, there's all these roads everywhere, so there's less dirt, there's less stuff blowing through the air, and maybe you're not getting exposed to all these things. So maybe by like not shaking hands anymore, maybe you could argue or make a case that maybe you wouldn't, maybe your immune system's not as strong, but then maybe you can also make another argument and say, well, maybe your immune system doesn't need to be as strong because we're not touching each other anymore.
Yeah. Maybe, who knows? Because I had asthma as a kid, and then it ended up going away a few years into soccer. Maybe it wasn't just getting in better shape. Maybe it was because I was outside more. I don't really know, but that could be it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
damn.
yeah, it makes sense because then you develop the your immune system for it. So, and then also like I think they said if your grandparents were smokers, you have a better chance of having respiratory issues.
That's
And
interesting.
yeah, I don't know where I heard that. I might have just made it up. But also, how many people are going to stop smoking because of all this? Hopefully
Yeah.
all of them, but hopefully a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah. Fuck.
No, I saw a
But
bunch of people I know that are like, I'm not smoking cigarettes anymore. I'm not going to be vaping anymore. Like, there's a
mm,
lot of people I know who are just trying to drop that now. It makes a lot of sense. It makes so much sense because there's a virus that literally attacks you and could kill you because you're a smoker.
Mhm.
Fuck,
Mhm.
that
right.
is scary.
I know Gavin Newsom, our governor, he's talking about, reopening California's economy, and then it's California, Oregon, and Washington State. They're trying to have a coordinated effort between the three of them, and I think I think that that's smart too. I think some sort of coordinated effort, I think, makes some sense to me. You saw Trump the other day, throwing his weight around, saying like, what he says goes type of thing. So it'll be interesting to see, as we move forward, what will happen. And when Trump's going to probably say one thing, and then other people, other governors and other states may choose to do something slightly different. But I mean, to me, it just makes sense that he would just take it by by case basis, because it seems like um, the status of each state and of each area. I mean, that just seems pretty logical to me. It makes some sense that they conduct themselves in a little bit different ways, but then it also kind of brings up some of the issues of like, well, what about people crossing state lines? So what about people traveling? So it brings into question some of those things. And then again, whenever you have a bunch of rules, then you have to figure out a way to police it. And then policing stuff could cause violence or irritation or frustration or
Yeah.
revolt, or so it'll be interesting moving forward. But hopefully they come up with a good plan, and hopefully we get back to at least some of the basics.
Yeah, it would be cool to not be looked at weird when you don't have a mask on. Like, went into Costco the other day and got some interesting looks. It's like, hey, like I'm healthy, leave me alone.
But real talk, China's like China before this outbreak. You see pictures of China, like hell, people have been wearing masks for like the longest time because of
Mm-hmm.
SARS. Like I was thinking that might just be what we end up looking like even after this is finished. People are still going to be just out in the street wearing masks.
Yeah, I think so. And it's funny because like there's still conflicting info about the mask and whatnot. Like I've even said on this podcast, like, oh, they don't do anything, but now it's like, well, if you sneeze, you do it into your sleeve. Like, why is that? Like, well, I'm not talking about like blowing snot everywhere, but like, why is that recommended? But then a mask isn't. I'm like, I feel like they both almost do the same thing, but
Mhm.
again, uneducated. I don't know anything about it, so I'm just going with what I know right now.
Yeah.
The way the news is reported is so interesting to me too, because the way everything, and Daniel was explaining this as well, is like things are so sensationalized, and there's so much like inflection in what they're saying. Like I was watching the news the other day, and I just never even noticed this because I don't pay that much attention. I don't really normally even barely watch the news, but it's amazing how each channel has like an agenda. It seems like one channel's totally for Trump and one channel hates him. It's and that's a tough situation to be in for us as Americans, to have to listen to these two that are so charged from a political standpoint, and not necessarily charged for they're not as excited to just report what's going to help you the most. They're like, when they were talking about Trump, they automatically kind of had these negative looks on their faces, and then they were not automatically kind of talking in a very negative way. And then I saw another channel where they were automatically all for Trump and for
Mhm.
everything that he said. And I'm like, this is insane. Why how could any, like, it was just, I don't know. I just thought, man, well, that's why there's so much confusion going on. We got these people with these other agendas going on that are just really compromising the information. I mean, even just like in looking at some of these reports and some of the information, somebody will come on screen and they'll say, we know social distancing is working. Well, even just that statement, how do you know social distancing is working compared to what? you know, because what if we didn't have social distancing? What if we just let people go through it? Yes, the numbers would be higher, but maybe we'd get through all this shit faster. You know, it's like, you don't really know. And they're not really, when they're making these statements, and I'm not even saying that that's true. I'm just saying that when they make these statements, they don't really back them up with anything strong. They don't really surround it with other information saying, hey, to our best knowledge, this is working effectively for the moment. And hopefully we can continue this to get rid of it. And then we can take steps A, B, and C to move forward. But they're really just, you know, they'll tell you how many cases popped up. They'll say 100,000 cases popped up or whatever it might be. Then they don't, when they say that, they're making that sound like everyone's going to die. Like the way they say it, right? It's and I know that they're not saying it. They're not saying like 100,000 people died. They're just saying 100,000 new cases popped up, or they found out X amount of people have the virus. What they're not saying is the good and the bad of that. The bad is maybe they could spread that to people that are unhealthy. The good news is those people might be inoculated from it for the rest of their lives. They might not ever get it again. Perhaps I don't think we have that information yet, but they're just laying down that one piece of content to you and trying to scare the fucking shit out of you. Or maybe they're not even trying to scare you, but it sounds scary the way that they're doing it.
Yeah. To Dr. Batar's credit, and I think Andrew put this clip up, they're trying to literally instill fear, because fear gets you paying attention. And it, like, also, like you were saying, Mark, it's really well known that, for example, CNN is a left-leaning news network. Fox News is a right-leaning news network. And when you go to either of these, they say that they don't have implicit bias, but you can tell by watching one thing from CNN or one thing that Fox News is going to back Trump on a lot of things. CNN is going to tear him down on a lot of things. And then there's this new network called OAN. I forgot what it stands for, but it's this network that Trump has been posting up a lot about, because they're like honestly just throwing him a lot of softball questions, and they're super for him. So Trump is putting out and tweeting, hey, this OAN network, they got their stuff right. Like Fox News, you're a joke. CNN, you're a joke. And now all his supporters are watching OAN. So it's like, you can't trust what's being put out, because all of these things, they will put out information that there's so much bias, right? And even us, like, I think that I like what we're doing here, because like, we may have certain ideas, but we still try to let other people that have different views onto the show so that we can talk to them, right? I'm not saying we're a news network, but I mean, it's hard to trust it. You can't trust the news unless you're watching like all of the different channels, or you're paying attention to a network that puts back forward all the different facts.
Yeah, I wonder how
Go ahead, Andrew.
how OAN turns into Mark Bell's Power Project podcast.
You never know.
Yeah.
Did you guys happen to see the clip that Joe Rogan posted where he's with Tom Green, and it's like the first ever podcast of any kind? Have you ever seen that?
Mm-mm.
So he posted it up just a couple days ago, and it's him and Tom Green, and they're just talking. They're sitting together in like a studio kind of thing, and they talk to somebody live. And it's like not the first time it's ever happened, but it's kind of the first time it's ever happened in that format. The guy that like called in or whatever, he was a fan of Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan's a comedian. He would just happen to be a fan of his, and they talked. And this is like, I don't know, 2007 or something like that. Rogan is sitting there and he's completely blown away. He's like, Tom, he's like, this changes everything. He's like, with this form, he's like, wait, he's like, this is wild. And they're sitting there drinking a beer. He goes, this is wild. He's like, we don't have to be censored. We don't need to, we don't need to have an agenda because of the sponsors and all this stuff. And like, you could see Joe Rogan's brain is like, it's going to explode. And you could get the idea of like, from that day forward, Joe Rogan never stopped thinking about podcasting. But it is super interesting that you'll have some people who are like, don't look at the internet because the internet doesn't have good information, or you don't know how to vet the information. Well, we don't know how to vet the information from anywhere. And maybe the information that is floating around from CNN and Fox, maybe that is more altered than the crap that you'd find on the internet, because sometimes with things like this, we do have a lot of freedom of speech. I'm sure there's certain things we could say, get some slaps on the wrist for it here and there, but for the most part, we could say, nearly anything that we'd like. And you're seeing a lot of popularity in people that are expressing their freedom of speech. Brian Rose with his podcast, Alex Jones. I mean, these are people that, yes, I understand people think they're completely crazy, but it is great. And I think it's what the country's based off of. It's great to have people that are able to express whatever they want to express. And obviously those people have an agenda because they have sponsors and they had advertisers, and it gets to be complicated as well. But it's just cool to have podcast formats and have stuff on the internet where at least you feel like you can say just about anything
without having to be cut off too. You don't have a 20-minute timeline. Like, you can really flesh out certain things. If somebody says something, you can dig in on that for as long as you want to. It's great.
Right.
Yeah. And then well, I mean, I know some podcasts have commercials. I know we start one, like our podcast, with ads and stuff, but there's no commercial breaks. Like you don't have to hit one segment and then come back and just totally ignore whatever you just spoke about. Or if you do, you have to try to ramp up that conversation again. And then by the time it gets good, it's like, oh, another commercial break, and like, and again, like a lot of, like you were just saying, like left and right news broadcasts and whatnot, like those commercials that follow will also still push that agenda and still kind of get in the heads of the viewers, trying to, convince them of one argument, or, you know what I mean? So podcasting is amazing, man. I love this format. I love that it does go long. I love that there are no, like, it's still the last like free media, like some of our stuff with like Batar and even Daniel Orego was censored on certain platforms. I was surprised. Yeah. But audio side, it's all good. It's amazing. Like, they're not going to be able to shut that part down.
Yeah. On YouTube, like, I think if you have like Corona in the title, or certain things in the title, they automatically push it down. There's certain things that they're shadow banning. That's not okay.
Yeah, and that's why like some of the titles have been changing, like on our podcast lately.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I definitely want to get to the the main topic of these conversations, but if I put Dr. Drew admits he was wrong on coronavirus, like, it's gonna get flagged right away. And also, like, I don't want to make it seem like, it was he was like, I don't want to be mean towards him at all. Like, it was amazing that we had him on. Not that he, we weren't mean to him or anything, but like, I can't do that right now, and it sucks.
These algorithms too, I've heard that they'll like stuff you down when you name drop too. Like, so if you try to tag The Rock, like they don't want you to piggyback off of stuff like that. So they have just shit that I've heard. But I find it fascinating too. Like, we got ourselves into this predicament where we're really trained to have like a ton of attention deficit disorder, basically. A lot of the stuff that's in front of us sort of promotes that, the way you're able just to go like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Like, you're able just to scroll right through and scroll right by. Oh, I don't care about that guy, doing that lift. I can scroll right past it. I don't care about this person's message. I can scroll right past it. But this kind of stuff, podcasting is such a better format. My wife and I had a really good conversation about it yesterday, the podcast versus Instagram. And this is such a good format because we can talk about stuff. We could say something that might be partially confrontational or controversial, but then we can back it up by stating why we feel that way. And then people can make their own judgment and say, okay, well, he just feels that way because of X, Y, and Z. They're not going to, hopefully they don't say he feels that way because it's a dick. Hopefully they say, well, that makes sense. I understand why he's got that vantage point. Okay. Yeah, I get it. I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but, and I'm hoping that people can disagree more. and be okay with it without getting so pissed off.
Yeah, I think that's, if there's anything that I've gotten from this, it's people will get in their emotions about certain things. And I've also learned, I've gotten better at not allowing myself to get emotional about other things that are said, because I see what it's like being on our side. So when somebody says something, I just wait it out, and I try to see what are you going to say next, or maybe why did you say what you just said there, you know?
Yeah, even with like replying to comments and stuff, like somebody had said a really really mean comment. So, in short, they were saying like, "Oh, boring podcast," and like, well, apologies, but check out this Dr. Batar episode, and if that doesn't get your rocks off, check out Tony Huge. There's no way you're going to tell me that both of those are boring. So yeah, I've definitely had I don't know what the term is, but I'm just like, I don't know, empathy, is that the right word?
That is, yeah,
is
empathy and patience. There's
patience. Yeah,
patience and
absolutely.
empathy.
Yep, 100%. I think the next evolution to our podcast is that Hootenanny, the Hootenanny podcast.
No, we need to get that going, get some people calling in, right?
Yeah, so I think because we are using Zoom, I think we will be able to easily take like fan calls and like have people that are watching live right now can actually hop into this conversation.
That'll be
which
dope.
would be fun. Yeah.
Hashtag quarantine doubles.
There you go.
Quarantine doubles.
Quarantine doubles. Okay.
Is that catchy enough?
It is.
Good
It's
to
just,
me.
I'm always gonna misspell quarantine though.
Oh, that's true.
Okay.
We spell it CORNTINE or TEEN. Quarantine.
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 Quarantine. CORANTEEN.
No, just CORNTEEN.
Quarantine.
Teen.
Could spell it with a K.
Or with the K. like the band.
Well, we really got to decide on this, because people are going to be like, what do I hashtag when I do my doubles? What do you guys want? I'm gonna let y'all vote on this.
I think quarantine doubles is fine. Like
spelled correctly or spelled with a K?
Spelled correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Deal.
And then whatever gets people moving.
I mean, we could just say double doubles, since I like in and out.
Now you're making me hungry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of photos in that hashtag though. We're trying to pick something that has like nothing so we can own the hashtag.
Just take over that hashtag. But no, you're absolutely right. It's hard to fuck with in and out.
It's hard to fuck with.
Quarantine doubles. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm in.
Deal.
Boom. See?
All right, Andrew, take us on out of here, buddy.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for checking out this episode, especially the people on the live stream. It's really cool hanging out with you guys again.
We were live?
Yeah, we were recording the whole time too.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I know, right?
Nsima didn't even brush his teeth yet.
Nope. I smell funky, and it's horrible.
I can't smell you through the computer, so it's not that bad.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Anywho, if you guys can, please follow the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project, at MB Power Project on TikTok and Twitter, facebook.com/Power Project, I think, or maybe it's MB Power Project, whatever. All links will be down in the iTunes show notes and YouTube description. This episode was brought to you by Piedmontese. Links for that down in the description as well. My Instagram is at I am Andrew Z. Nsima, where you at?
At Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, at Nsima Yin Yang on TikTok and Twitter. Mark.
Got one more thing.
Andrew.
Sorry. Or maybe I just took. Well, I'll wait for Mark.
I'm at Mark Smelly Bell. Keep on those 100 squats a day, 100 push-ups a day, and keep on top of those 10-minute walks. We're going to be doing 2 workouts every single day. We'd love for you guys to join in with us, and like let us know what you're doing. Let us know, the type of workouts you're doing and stuff like that. You can leave it in the comments below in the YouTube video of this, or you can go over to our Power Project Instagram and let us know what's up. Let us know how you're doing with it.
Yeah, and real quick, for those that are catching this live stream, right now, today, April 15th, you can get 19% off the entire website at markbellslingshot.com. I thought it was a birthday gift for me, but it turns out that we're just giving a gift to everybody for this COVID 19% off. So please head over there ASAP. Yeah, I know, that's pretty dope. 19% off at markbellslingshot.com. And of course, markbell.com is still giving a free 30-day trial to the entire website. So if you are going to do these quarantine doubles, you get some guidance for absolutely free. Just go over there, sign up, and you gain access to the entire website. So that is a really cool feat. Cool luxury during this time where we don't have a gym. You now have a coach and a gym partner in Mark Bell.
Sick.
Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch y'all later.